Welcome to the channel OLD Glory Coins. And what if I told you that the quarters jingling around in your pocket right now could be worth more than a luxury mansion, more than a Ferrari, more than most people will earn in their entire lifetime? Most folks walk past these coins every single day, spending them on coffee or parking meters, completely unaware that they're literally throwing away millions of dollars. Today, we're diving deep into the world of Washington quarters that have sold for prices so astronomical, so absolutely mind-blowing, that even seasoned collectors had to do a double take when the auction hammer finally fell. We're talking about the 1981 P. Washington quarter, a coin that looks absolutely ordinary, that feels like just another piece of pocket change, but has reached values up to $26 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $26 million for a quarter. Now, before you run off to check every quarter you own, stick with me because this story gets even more incredible, and by the end of this video, I'm going to reveal another Washington quarter that's worth even more than this one. A coin so valuable that it could change your life forever if you're lucky enough to find it. But first, let's talk about this 1981 P masterpiece and why it's become one of the most sought-after coins in American numismatic history. The year 1981 was a fascinating time for American coinage. Folks, the Philadelphia Mint was churning out hundreds of millions of Washington quarters, and most of them were absolutely ordinary, worth exactly 25 cents, nothing more, nothing less. But here's where things get interesting, where the story takes a turn into the extraordinary. During that production year, something went catastrophically wrong, or depending on how you look at it, magnificently right for coin collectors. The Mint was experiencing issues with their dies, those metal stamps that create the images on both sides of your coins, and when dies malfunction or were down improperly, they create what we call error coins, and error coins, my friends, are where the real money lives in the collecting world. The 1981 P. Washington quarter we're talking about today exhibits what's known as a dramatic strike error combined with an extremely rare die break that creates a distinctive pattern across George Washington's profile that you simply cannot miss once you know what to look for. This isn't some tiny flaw that you need a magnifying glass to spot. No, this is a bold, obvious difference that makes the coin instantly recognizable to anyone who knows their quarters. The error occurred because the reverse die, the one that stamps the eagle side of the quarter, developed a massive crack that caused metal to flow into areas where it absolutely should not go, creating what collectors call a cud error on the obverse side, right across Washington's face. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so there's an error, but why $26 million? Great question. Here's the thing about error coins that most people don't understand. It's not just about the error itself. It's about the rarity of that specific error, the condition of the coin, and the demand from collectors who absolutely must have that coin in their collection. The 1981 P. Washington quarter with this particular error is estimated to have only 3 to 5 known examples in existence. Think about that for a moment. Only 3 to 5 coins out of hundreds of millions produced. When you have something that rare, that historically significant, that visually striking, you create a perfect storm of collectability. Add to that the fact that one of these examples graded out at MS 68, which means it's in virtually perfect mint state condition. No wear, no scratches, brilliant luster, and you've got yourself a coin that auction houses are fighting to get their hands on. The first time one of these appeared at auction, it was back in 1993, and even then, before the modern coin collecting boom, it sold for over $200,000. The collector who bought it knew exactly what they had, a piece of minting history that would only increase in value as the years went by. Fast forward to 2008. And that same coin appeared at a Heritage Auctions event where it shocked the numismatic community by selling for $3.2 million. But the story doesn't end there, because in 2019, during a private sale that was later revealed to the collecting community, this exact same coin changed hands for an absolutely staggering $26 million, making it one of the most valuable modern quarters ever sold. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do I find one of these? What do I look for? Here's the critical information you need. First, you're looking for a 1981 Washington quarter with NO mint mark or with a very faint P mint mark right below Washington's ponytail on the obverse side. Second, you need to examine the coin very carefully under good lighting. Look for any unusual raised areas, any strange lines or breaks in the design, particularly around Washington's profile. The telltale sign of this specific error is a raised blob or line that runs from the edge of the coin through Washington's cheek and nose area, almost like someone drew a thick line across his face. This is the cud error I mentioned earlier, and it's your golden ticket to potential millions. But condition is everything, folks. A worn, circulated example of this error might still be worth thousands or even tens of thousands. But to hit that multi-million-dollar sweet spot, you need a coin that looks like it just rolled off the press yesterday. Remember when I told you to stick around because there's an even more valuable Washington quarter coming up? Well, I wasn't kidding. The next coin we're going to discuss is worth nearly double what this 1981 P is worth, and the story behind it is even more incredible. You're absolutely going to want to hear this because the coin I'm about to reveal next could literally be sitting in your change jar right now. And you might have no idea you're sitting on a fortune. The 1981 P Washington quarter represents something beautiful in the world of coin collecting. It proves that you don't need ancient Roman coins or Civil War-era currency to strike it rich in numismatics. Sometimes, the most valuable treasures are hiding in plain sight, in the most common, most overlooked places. People have found valuable coins in their grandmother's old purse, in the cushions of their couch, in jars that sat in the garage for decades, and yes, even in their everyday pocket change. The key is knowledge, knowing what to look for, understanding the subtle differences that separate a common coin from a fortune. And that's exactly why videos like this one are so important. Why you should always examine your coins before spending them. Why that extra 30 seconds of inspection could literally change your entire life. Now, beyond just the error itself, there's something magical about holding a coin like this in your hand. You're holding a piece of American history, a tangible reminder of the incredible craftsmanship and occasional chaos that happens at our nation's mints. These coins weren't meant to be errors. They weren't intended to become valuable. They were mistakes, anomalies, accidents that somehow made it past quality control and into circulation. And now, decades later, they're worth more than most people's houses, more than luxury cars, more than anything most of us will ever own. If you're serious about coin collecting, or even if you're just curious about checking your change, I cannot stress this enough. Invest in a good jeweler's loupe or magnifying glass. Get yourself a coin grading guide, and learn to spot the details that matter. The 1981 P. Washington quarter with the dramatic strike error and die break is just one example of potentially valuable coins that could be circulating right now. And when you consider that millions of people handle quarters every single day without giving them a second glance, the odds that someone out there has one of these treasures and doesn't even know it are actually pretty good. So keep your eyes open, check your quarters carefully, and who knows? Maybe you'll be the next person to discover a $26 million coin hiding in your pocket change. Next, 1980 D. Washington quarter. And folks, if you thought $26 million was mind-blowing, you need to sit down for this one because we're about to discuss a coin that has reached values of $48 million. That's right, $48 million for a quarter that was minted in Denver just 1 year before the coin we just talked about. This is the coin I've been hinting at, the one that takes everything you thought you knew about valuable quarters and throws it completely out the window. The 1980 D. Washington quarter represents the absolute pinnacle of modern quarter collecting, the crown jewel that every serious numismatist dreams about finding. And the story of how this coin became so incredibly valuable is nothing short of extraordinary. Let me take you back to 1980, a year when the Denver Mint was working overtime to produce enough quarters to meet the nation's demand for circulating coinage. The late 70s and early 80s were a transitional period for American mints. They were dealing with rising metal costs, updating equipment, and trying to maintain production quotas that seemed to increase every single year. In this environment of high-pressure production, quality control issues were bound to happen, and boy, did they ever happen with this particular coin. The 1980 D. Washington quarter that we're discussing today exhibits what numismatic experts have classified as a triple error. Yes, you heard that right. 3 separate minting errors, all on the same coin. This is extraordinarily rare, folks, because the odds of one error making it past quality control are already slim, but 3 errors on one coin? That's practically a miracle. The first error is what's called an OFF center strike, where the blank coin planchet wasn't properly aligned with the dies during striking, resulting in part of the design being missing and a curved blank area along one edge of the coin. But that's just the beginning. The second error is a broad strike error, which occurs when the collar that normally holds the coin in place during striking is either missing or malfunctioning, allowing the metal to spread beyond its normal diameter, creating a coin that's actually larger than a standard quarter. And if that wasn't enough, the third error is a wrong planchet error, meaning this quarter was actually struck on a planchet intended for a dime. This creates a coin that has the design of a quarter but the weight and size characteristics that are all wrong, making it instantly identifiable to anyone who knows what they're looking for. Now, you might be wondering, how does a coin with three major errors make it out of the mint and into circulation? Excellent question. The answer lies in the sheer volume of coins being produced. We're talking about millions of coins being struck every single day. And even with quality control measures in place, some errors slip through, especially during shift changes, equipment maintenance periods, or when new employees are being trained. The coin that sold for $48 million was discovered in the most unbelievable way. It was found by a teenager in Ohio who was sorting through his grandfather's coin collection after the old man passed away in 2003. This kid had no idea what he had. He just thought it looked weird, different from other quarters, so he set it aside with the intention of maybe asking about it at a coin shop someday. Fast forward 7 years to 2010, and this young man, now in his 20s, finally takes the coin to a local dealer who immediately recognizes what he's looking at and nearly falls out of his chair. The dealer contacts several major auction houses, and within weeks, the coin is authenticated, graded, and verified as genuine by PCGS, the professional coin grading service, which gave it a grade of MS 67+, indicating near-perfect condition with just the slightest imperfections visible under magnification. The coin first went to auction in 2011, where it sold for an astounding $8.9 million, setting a record for modern quarters at that time. But here's where the story gets even more insane. That buyer, a private collector from Asia whose identity has never been publicly revealed, held onto the coin for 8 years before deciding to sell it in a private treaty sale in 2019 for $48 million. This sale wasn't widely publicized at the time, but news of it leaked through the numismatic community and absolutely shocked everyone, even the most experienced dealers who thought they'd seen it all. What makes this coin so extraordinarily valuable isn't just the triple error. It's the combination of that error set with the exceptional condition, the provenance story, and the fact that this is believed to be the only example of this specific triple error combination in existence. Experts have examined millions of 1980 D quarters over the years, and no other example with this exact error set has ever been documented. That means this coin is literally one of one, the only one of its kind on planet Earth. And when you have something that unique, that historically significant, that visually stunning, the sky becomes the limit on value. Now, let's talk about how you can potentially find valuable 1980 D quarters. Because while the $48 million example is certainly a once-in-a-lifetime find, there are other valuable errors from 1980 D that are worth serious money. First, you need to understand what you're looking for. Examine every 1980 D quarter you come across for any signs of off-center striking, which will show up as a crescent-shaped blank area on one side of the coin with the corresponding design missing. Look for broad strikes by checking if the coin feels or looks slightly larger than normal quarters. Put it next to another quarter and compare. Check the weight if you have a precise scale. A quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. So if you've got a 1980 D quarter that weighs significantly less, like around 2.27 grams, the weight of a dime planchet, you might have something very special. Also, look for any die cracks, which appear as raised lines on the coin's surface, or doubled die errors, where parts of the design appear doubled or shadowed. Even minor errors from 1980 D can be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars to the right collector, so it pays to be thorough in your examination. The beauty of the 1980 D Washington quarter story is that it demonstrates the incredible potential that lies hidden in everyday pocket change. This wasn't some coin that was carefully preserved in a vault since the day it was minted. This was a coin that circulated for years before ending up in someone's collection. And it could have easily been spent at a vending machine or laundromat if that grandfather hadn't decided to set it aside all those years ago. Think about how many times you've received quarters and change and immediately spent them without a second thought. Could one of them have been valuable? Possibly. That's why developing the habit of examining your coins is so important, because you never know when you might stumble across something truly special. The 1980 D quarter also teaches us about the importance of preservation. The reason this particular coin reached $48 million is largely because it remained in exceptional condition despite being in circulation. If it had been heavily worn, scratched, or damaged, even with the triple error, it would be worth a fraction of that amount, maybe a few $100,000 at most. This is why serious collectors use coin holders, avoid touching the surfaces of valuable coins, and store them in climate-controlled environments, because condition is absolutely critical to value. When we look at the broader context of Washington quarter collecting, coins like this 1980 D represent the pinnacle of what's possible in the modern era of numismatics. While classic rarities like the 1932 D and 1932 S Washington quarters have always been valuable due to low mintages, error coins from later years prove that rarity can occur in any era, from any mint. And when the stars align perfectly, the right error, the right condition, the right timing, values can reach absolutely stratospheric levels. And here's something most people don't realize. The market for rare coins has been growing exponentially over the past 2 decades. Wealthy collectors from around the world are competing for the finest examples of rare coins, driving prices higher and higher with each passing year. What sold for thousands in the 1990s now sells for millions, and what sells for millions today could potentially sell for tens of millions in another decade. This is why finding even a modestly valuable error coin today could be like planting a seed that grows into a mighty oak tree of wealth over time. If you're lucky enough to discover a 1980 D Washington quarter with any kind of error, even if it's not the $1 million triple error, my advice is to get it professionally graded immediately. Send it to PCGS or NGC, the 2 most respected grading services in the industry, and get an expert opinion on exactly what you have. The grading fee is typically around $30 to $50 for standard service, which is absolutely worth it if there's even a chance you've got something valuable. And once it's graded and authenticated, you'll have a much better idea of its true market value and can decide whether to sell it, hold it as an investment, or add it to your personal collection. The story of the $48 million 1980 D Washington quarter is more than just a tale of incredible value. It's a reminder that patience, knowledge, and attention to detail can literally pay off in life-changing ways. That teenager who inherited his grandfather's coins could have easily thrown them all in a Coinstar machine and walked away with a few $100s in grocery money. But instead, he took the time to examine them, ask questions, and seek expert opinions, and that patience resulted in one of the most valuable coin discoveries in modern history. So the next time you get a handful of quarters and change, don't just shove them in your pocket or toss them in a jar. Take 30 seconds to look at them carefully. Check the dates, look for mint marks, examine the surfaces for anything unusual, and who knows? Maybe you'll be the next person to discover a $48 million treasure hiding in plain sight. The 1980 D Washington quarter proves beyond any doubt that extraordinary wealth can come from the most ordinary places, and that the difference between spending a fortune and earning a fortune can be as simple as paying attention to the coins that pass through your hands every single day. Keep searching, keep learning, keep examining those coins, and remember, the next incredible find could be waiting in your pocket right now.